Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. And here we go. This time we're going to talk about Rabid Rachel, number 1. It's one of 3. And this is from Miller Publishing Company. Now, last week I did a video on Scorpia, who was also from Miller, and I said something. I wasn't sure if it was if that would qualify as a power comic, because the art was maybe too good. This is definitely a power comic. And in fact, the boys at Power Comics have talked about it, as well as talking about Miller Publishing Company. And this is Rabid Rachel from 1991, written by Bill W. Miller with art by Robert Zailo. And of course, Bill Miller, he was the creator and writer of the John Tar series, which is considered by the boys at the Power Comics channel to be the epitome of Power Comics. Well, this is right there with them, and it's fun. I'm not saying bad stuff. It's fun. These kind of books are fun. The Power Comics are the do-it-yourself type, self-published. Usually teenagers or early 20s creators doing their thing and wanting to do some publishing, and that's what they did. That's what Miller did. Yeah, Bill Miller, co-publisher of Miller Publishing, along with his dad, also named Bill Miller, writer of several comics published by them, mostly notably John Tar and John Tar Returns books. And of course they've I can't remember the name of the publisher now, but the Power Comics guys have recently reprinted the entire contents of John Tar and John Tar Returns. I got that for Christmas. And Bill Miller received their award for Power Comics Hall of Fame from the Power Comics channel. Oh, that's cool. That's cool, because I got nothing bad to say about those guys, or any of these creators. And the artist Robert Zailo, he is freelance artist working in advertising and illustration in California. I actually found some stuff on him, and he has a YouTube channel, and it's just listed as Rob Zailo channel. It has some stuff about art and martial arts, but you got to be careful if you go look in there, because there is another one that is Rob, I think would be pronounced Zailo, which is a completely different person. I looked with a Z-E-O, I think it's how you pronounce it. And that is also martial arts. But this is Rob Zailo, Z-A-I-L-O. So check his stuff out, because he's still around, and he shows some of his artwork. And I originally wasn't quite sure if it was the same guy, but when I saw his artwork, even though it is improved, it still looks like the same artist. So, and so this is definitely a power comic. You can see that on the back cover, werewolf. And I do like this cover drawing. It looks like he may have used photo reference, like from a lingerie ad or something like that, for this female figure. And it starts out here It's actually a dream. The main character, Rachel, she's having a dream, and in the dream, that's in this what they call this Scarlet Strip, bad part of town, wherever the town is, and the guy, and it has this guy who's a Kilberg, who is a private investigator, and she wakes up. Oh, why is all that? And she has a flashback to, because this guy Kilberg is a private investigator, but he worked for but he was hired on by this company that she has been working for, some kind of biolab research thing, as what they do, and hired him, and he captured a werewolf for them. That there had been stories of a werewolf, and apparently this werewolf doesn't change back and forth; he's always in wolf form. And then she looks in the mirror in the morning, and she sees the image of the werewolf, ghostly in the mirror. And then she flashes back. All this part is flashback. How at the lab she had been like under the mental control of this where she worked. This is Rachel, and released the werewolf. He went on a terror, getting out of the lab and injuring people and the like. And of course, she was promptly fired for that. Okay. I couldn't help it. But it doesn't matter. So here she is at home. But meanwhile, right after that happened, she came down with rabies, and she was abed with this rabies infection, and she's gotten better. She didn't know how she could have gotten it, because the werewolf never touched her at all. But here she is at home. Obviously, she's not because rabies used to be called hydrophobia, because you don't want to drink water. Well, here she is drinking water, so she's not hydrophobic. It's an interesting way of telling the passage of time here. The same picture with 12 hours difference on the clock. And then but at night she goes kind of nuts. Herself busts out, and something is compelling her to go to this place. And there's this crate. She busts into it, and inside is a costume amongst some other things. And she puts the costume on. But that private Kilberg, that PI, had been keeping an eye on her, followed her, and found she had lost her apartment key. Well, she is walking down on the Scarlet Strip, and guy approaches her, and apparently he's like some gangster pimp type, and thinks she's a streetwalker, but she's not, and it does some damage to him. Then later she's at home, and wondering about what's going on with her. Meanwhile, Kilberg comes to see her, and she jumps him. Meanwhile, the gangsters show up, and they start blasting away, and Kilberg blows them away. And she gets away and takes off. And she's got what looks like a pipe bomb. Don't know where that came from. Lights it, throws it into this place. I think it's at the... It's incoherent. Gets blown up. Then she's on the strip again, trying to trace something. Kilberg is being talked with by the Dunkirk, who is the head honcho at the lab, and telling him, so he wants him to go out and try to find that werewolf again. Meanwhile, without any way of telling us, Rachel has been captured by the lab and is there in the lab. I have no idea how that happened. They don't tell. It doesn't say. And in the lab, they've got some experimental equipment. And Dunkirk brings in his own niece for this experiment, teenage niece, and hook her up to this machine, which hooks her in with Rachel. And the girl goes crazy, and she takes off because she's like possessed with Rachel's mind. So it's kind of incoherent. Meanwhile, Kilberg has gone to in the area where he originally captured the werewolf, found this cabin and it had some writings in it. Turns out there was this sorcerer and cult leader, and he concocted something which created the werewolf, and the werewolf is coming back there. And the girl, the niece, gets there just in time to save him from the werewolf, but the werewolf kills her. Then Rachel's mind snaps back to her own body. She wakes up, tears stuff loose, and is about to attack Dunkirk, the lab boss, when Kilberg gets there. He is all PO'd because of the death of the little girl. And so Rachel is unable to commit murder. But Kilberg, no problem with it. He blows the guy away, and then she takes off. And that is the end of the story. It's very rough reading. The artwork, of course, is extremely rough. That was to be expected. He has improved over the decades. Has some decent visual storytelling techniques, even though his draftsmanship is lacking. And unfortunately, Bill Miller's writing is lacking too. Might have had some good concepts for story in there, but it didn't mesh well. But that's part of what being a power comic is, I think. So that's what I've got for you this time with Rabid Rachel from Miller Publishing Company. 1 of 3. I don't know if they ever published the other 2 or not. I've never seen them, but it is good, clean fun. And kind of nostalgic from by now. So that's all I've got. Please like, share, and subscribe, and do leave a comment. What do you think of Rabid Rachel or the Power comics? I like to cover some of these old ones like this, these self-published ones, because they're off the wall. So, and remember, people, comics are art.